Hi, good afternoon, good morning. My name is Dick Ayres. I am the co-founder of Litterati, and I'm very pleased to share our story with you today. So, Litterati is on a journey to eradicate litter and to create a zero waste world. And we do that by having a global platform and really being powered by the crowd, powered by people in every community around the world. It's very simple yet sophisticated. So we have an application which can be downloaded onto your smartphone, whether it's an Android or it's an Apple device. And you can take photographs of litter and of waste and document it as you are cleaning up. And so we're accompanying people as they clean up waste around the world. And what we say is that photograph tells 1,000 stories. So the photograph, we're able to extract who picked up what, where that was, and what date and the time that litter was there and then collected. And then we use machine learning and artificial intelligence to define the object type, the material, and the brand when it's possible. So our business is focused on two main areas. One is the community. So we have a community in 165 countries. And then it's focused on the data. So the data that community generates. The way that it works is that we have this community around the world, and we have researchers and we have individuals that collect data professionally. That data then sits in our database, and then we run analytics on top of that and merge multiple diverse data sets and derive patterns and insights from that, which ultimately drive impact and change. So how do we do this? Well, as I said, we're on a journey to create a zero waste world, and we really focus around the 4 R's. So the reuse, reduce, recycle, and rethink. And here are 2 examples. So the first one is an example of plastic wrappers from a small candy sweet. Our community in the Netherlands picked up over 30,000 of these wrappers over a period of a couple of months. And then some members of the community took that data to the company and inspired them to actually change their packaging from plastic to a paper product, to a paper wrapper. Another one in the Netherlands is that the data was gathered from the community and several very dedicated individuals to demonstrate that small to-go packaging of PET bottles and also of cans were continuing to be left in the environment. And they demonstrated this to such an extent that the Dutch government extended the deposit return scheme, i.e. the scheme to actually take your bottle back to a store or back to a location where it can be recycled, and you will get a monetary reward for it. And that scheme was introduced earlier this year. So what I want to kind of talk to you about is, we work with different organizations, schools, brands, cities, etc. And the example that I have here is working with Philip Morris. So Philip Morris has a objective of reducing litter, well, 50% reduction of plastic litter from its products by 2025. And so what we did is working in unison. So we, as a data collection company, and another organization called Cortexia, which is a technology startup based out of Switzerland, and they have a high resolution camera that they install on vehicles and also on bikes, and they are able to measure litter concentrations over large distances, and they can determine if the streets are clean or dirty. So we combined those 2 data gathering techniques in the city of Lisbon. So Cortexia covered about 90 kilometers of streets So if you can see the visual here of the green line is where Cortexia did their data collection, and Litterati did over 60 segments of data collection in the city of Lisbon. We then created a baseline model to understand the extent of cigarette butt littering from both data collection techniques. They are diverse techniques. However, what we did is we calibrated over 4 control areas the amount and the quantity of the cigarette butts found at each one of these locations. And then what we did is we merged that with other external data sets. So we use some population density data, we use some mobility data, points of interest, in order to create, ultimately to be able to create a relationship between both the Litterati and the Cortexia data. And we came up with a grid model to identify where there are high or low concentrations of cigarette butt littering. And this grid is right now it's about 120 meters by 120 meters from a grid size. And then we also started to look at particular features. So looking at the SHAP value. So if there's a high correlation or a low correlation with the particular features related to demographics, or if it's related to residential areas, or if it's a primary street or a secondary street or a tertiary street, so that we can define specific actions to take related to how this litter can actually be determined or not, and then the actions to be taken. And what we'll do is go back time and time again to work out if these actions are actually having a positive impact. So this is really the base model, and then what we'll do is working in unison with Carto, with Cortexia and Philip Morris, is to take this concept and scale it to be able to get an understanding in different parts of the world what are some of the major causes and how can we address this, the impact of cigarette butt littering, and achieve the goal that Philip Morris has set out of reducing that by 50%. Here's another example that we're working with a county in North America, so Wake County, around the city of Raleigh. Again, we're not just looking at the symptoms, we're trying to get to the root cause of this problem. And very similar approach. So we selected some pilot areas and some sample sites. We've organized to collect the data. So we chose about 60 different locations across the county. And now we're actually in the phase of interpreting that data as we speak. So we performed some stratified sampling. So we looked at various external data sets. So we looked at income, we looked at age, we looked at housing concentrations, and also population distribution, to get a good understanding that we have variance across the sites that we're going to be analyzing. And then we also looked at land use type, which we believe has an impact on the amount of litter that will be found. We also have an understanding of which of the municipalities. So within the county, there are 12 major municipalities, and we made sure that we had distribution across the 12 municipalities. And then the county also had other data. So they gathered data already from some previous cleanups, and they also have pledges from where they have been, having individuals from the county pledging that they'll recycle and that they'll keep their local community clean. So we took all of this data as input, and we generated 60 sample locations in order to make sure that we got diversity and variance across the majority of the county. And we just finished doing the data collection this weekend, and now we're doing the analysis and to look at the causation correlation between what we found and ultimately we'll go back and report back to the county, and hopefully we will have data to be able to demonstrate what actions can be taken by the citizens, what activities can be taken by city government or city leaders, or even by companies and local businesses. So Litterati, we started with one person picking up one piece of litter, and now we have over 8 million pieces of litter documented and registered in 165 countries around the world. And yeah, we're really excited to be working with some really significant partners like Carto and also PMI and also Contexia. So that's it.
Dick, thank you very much. We've had some really great comments and questions on chat. We'll also see that you've had a flurry of app downloads, because I think 15 people here have said that they're going to download the app. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for walking us through the project. We have got a question here. I haven't got a name, but it says that the data looks beautiful. So what tools did you use for visualization?
So we use a lot of the Carto suite for that visualization. We've been working with Carto for a couple of years now, and yeah, it's been great.
And a quick question, Dick. This is a curiosity question from me: is how has this situation that we're going through this year affected usage of the app and the kind of things you're seeing on the app? Have you got a new category of masks, for example? So I feel like wherever I go at the moment, I walk across a mask, and it's most unfortunate. What have you seen?
Yeah, so there's definitely an uptick. Unfortunately, there's also a reduction because there's less people outside, depending on the geography where you are. I think, however, in general, the amount of disposable waste has increased everywhere across the world, and so there has been an increase of, let's say, litter and waste in the environment. We definitely saw a downturn in our users in our community activity at the beginning of the year, around March, April time. But the month of September, we had over 1 million pieces of litter documented in one single month. So it took us 6 years to document our first million. And then in September, we had just over 1 million pieces of litter documented in one single month. So it's definitely taken an increase. So yeah, I don't know what exactly to tell you. We got to continue analyzing the data. Yeah,
I think we also need to do a Netflix documentary with David Attenborough. That might help. Help us get even more downloads. Awesome. I have another question here from Haley Greiker, who would like to know if your data is available to the public in any way.
Yes, it is. If you go to our website, you can access the data. The data from the community is open. The way that we work is the app is free to download, and you can access your own data. And then we also have the data from the community is publicly available off the website as well.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. And then Greg Schundler has asked the question, is there a good data set out there for global landfill locations?
Global landfill locations, not that I'm aware of.
Right. Okay. That's
not to say that there isn't, but I wouldn't know.
Okay. Awesome. And then there is one more question here from Francesco Bertole, who asks how Litterati is funded. Is it all coming from projects such as the ones you presented? How does it work?
So we're a combination of, we're a small startup. We have private investors. We're funded by the National Science Foundation in the US. And we also have a commercial model where we actually sell our services to cities, to organizations. So right now it's a little bit of a combination of all three.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for answering those questions, Dick. There are a few more on the chat in case you want to drop on and chat with anybody else who's joined us. But yes, everybody download Litterati. I have. And thanks for joining us, Dick.
Great. Thanks very much.